Good day. Welcome back to my channel. With the hawk done, getting started on my next build, which is going to be this Tamiya Corsair in 148. As I understand, it's a pretty decent kit, so we're going to go ahead and do a look in the box. This project is, I'm not going to go and get a bunch of resin and extra parts for it. I could. Corsair is one of those subjects where you could really go all out and over the top. What I'd like to do is see what I can do with what's in this box and, with whatever I have on hand instead of getting a bunch of, extras, just to give it a shot. So with that said, let's take a look at what's in the box as we get this project started. As always, let's take a look inside the box. So as you can see, typical Tamiya. Tamiya has reputation. Tamiya's reputation, as far as I'm concerned, requires constant monitoring, because I've not been happy with some of their offerings, but in general, they're really good. So I'm going to expect this one is. Now, I am going to say up front, and I just want to be clear, I am not an expert on the Corsair, so this is going to be somebody who is building a model kit because I like the look of the aircraft. So those of you who are Corsair experts and looking for me to replicate all of the specifics and the details, you're going to be disappointed, so just understand that from the start. The goal here is for me to build this out of the box and come up with as good a representation as I can that will make me happy. So understand that from the get-go. Take a look around the box. Typical Tamiya, written in a language I cannot read. It is one of the ones that I'm just not strong with. But hey, this wasn't marketed for, well, it was marketed for the world, but where this comes from, that's what you have. When we look inside the box, I did already open it up, because it does come with Tamiya's bagged, stapled bags, and that every time I try to open those, I slice my hand open, so it's just easier for me to go in and do that ahead of time, which I've done. I'm going to start, as I always do, with the instructions and transfer sheets. So I'm going to start with the transfers first off, because these are, again, also typical Tamiya. Pretty thick. You can see there's some pretty hefty carrier film on those. Again, Corsair, very common, very, very familiar, very well-known subject. So there are plenty of aftermarket transfers out there for those who want them. Again, I'm staying in the box as much as I can. So we'll go with these and we'll see how well they go, right? Then we'll go to the instruction sheet. And this is where... So this is one big accordion fold out, which is not necessarily my favorite, but hey, it is what we have, so we make do with it. Information about the Corsair, Yins can read, there. Freeze and read. Details about, now you do have your color callouts, and these are, shockingly in Tamiya colors, so you can follow those. I am not a Tamiya paint user in general. Typically I use Vallejo or Army Painter, so I'll be looking for approximations. See previous disclaimer on not looking for hyper accuracy so much as fun and aiming to get as close as possible. I'm not going to go out and buy an entire bucket of paints for this particular one. No, this is actually the reason I've sort of sat on this kit for a bit. Simply because I don't have any of the blues. Most of the thing I do don't have blue. So, I was kind of fiddling around with that. Enough said. You get into your instructions are nice and clear. And I'm not going to walk through all the instructions because, again, there's a billion people out there. But what I am going to point out is they do make your color callouts. You do have very nice, the way things go together, the way it's described is excellent. A few bits and pieces that I will mention as we go through, being again, not an expert on the Corsair, although I will do a little bit of research and try and just make a nice representation for it. You do have the like your flap assemblies, your landing gear doors. Sorry, Becker buddy, I do want to do this one landed because I do want to do with the wings folded. So that is an option you do get to do this with your wings folded, and you get. They tell you about this here at the end. So I kind of like the look of all of that, which is, on my shelf, I only have so much space, and them down with those wings folded really helps to minimize that impact. So you do have these two canopies. I need to figure out what the details are between those two, because to my eye, they look the same. Again, you Corsair guys are probably going, oh my God, it's so obvious. It's like, how can you not see? Kidding. I really don't. So I need to figure out what the story is with those. And then the pilot. We'll look at the pilot here in a bit. So, and then your color callouts, right? So your transfer and your markings and so forth. So typical Tamiya. I'm kind of curious what the actual pronunciation is supposed to be. The instructions are good. They're easy to follow, and you really can't go wrong with that. So let's take a look at the parts. Now, a couple of the parts are sort of on their own, so I'm going to work my way through them. This is the cowl, and as is typical, the Tamiya work is good. We do have an inconvenient sprue mark there, but overall this is a nice piece. As I understand, I'm going to this is one of the things that I have noticed when I've looked at other people who've done this kit. Inside this cowling here, there are supposed to be apparently ribs, strengthening structures, whatever you want to call them, that are not in this kit. I've seen, I think Plasmo, David did a really nice, he 3D printed those pieces. I've seen other people just cut them out of sprue. I'm going to take a look at what that's really involved, and I am not going to 3D print. Again, not going to buy anything, but I may just go ahead and reinforce those, because that's a blatant piece of this machine that will help with the interest of the engine. Next piece is this little one, which has, the cockpit, the start of the cockpit main brace, detail pieces here. Here's your foot pedals. Overall, the pieces are nicely done. I can feel mold lines, which that's a thing, right? So just clean them up. These do look good. And the pilot, so this is the pilot. He's meant to be standing on the, sort of standing on the wing waiting. That's actually pretty nice. Many of the things I've seen out of Tamiya have been really soft, sort of mushy. Like on his hands, he's a little mushy there. And you also have very noticeable mold line. But all of that can be cleaned up. And the majority of all of this can be cleaned up with a good paint job. At 1/48 scale, that's not bad. Sure, you could get resin replacements for this, but at 30-ish bucks a pop, that's actually a really nice figure for that, for being included, and it's nice that he's included. I know plenty of folks would have preferred you have a pilot that is seated, so that you could do this gear up and in flight, and sort of a miss there, but that figure is actually nice. Could be, for what it is, it's a really nice little representation there. Again, your markings and your panel lines, there we go. Rivet detail on the parts of the wing look good. These are your joins for your exposed wing for when it's folded up. Sort of plain-ish. You can dress that up with some detail, a little bit of lead wire. We'll be looking at how that goes. Your intakes for the front part of your gull wing. The rivet detail, the panel lines. Maybe the panel lines are a little bit big, but they will take a wash well and show up. When you flip these over, There are aspects of these that we'll be seeing. So like here, these are the ups, the top part of the landing bay. And this is something to point out. Very noticeable ejector pin marks. For the most part, ejector pin marks are going to be in places you're not going to see them or not going to have to deal with them. But in these cases, they're there. This is the roof of the landing bay. Seriously, the roof of the landing bay. To see this, you have to have this thing on a mirror and be lit from the bottom to look up. So is it really a problem? If you're going to take this to competition, yes, because they'll put the little dentist mirror there. If you're a completionist, yes, do it. Go through the effort. So it's at an inconvenient place. I am probably going to try to address that just because I want to try to address it. Maybe deal with this in as completionist of a way as possible. But other than that, right? So other than that, very nice moldings, very nice representation for it. And then we get to pretty much the only other sprue other than the clear parts, and this is the main fuselage, which again is and again, not knowing how accurate those panel lines are or those rivets are, it is what it is. Another look at your cockpit piece, and fortunately, this part doesn't have the ejector pins where you can see it in the cockpit. They're on the back, which is nice. The landing gear, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Again, there are probably things you can do to dress these up, make them look a little bit nicer, add some interest in detail. Your engine, again, okay, right? It's nice. It's not perfect. So you can look at ways to add wire and cabling in here to add that interest, again, with the cowling here, right? With this, you're going to be able to see a good bit of it. I'm not sure which of these pieces is the front piece, but you can see that, with that sitting in there, you're going to be able to see some of that engine. So you want it to have some detail. And it's a matter of being creative. How creative do you want to be? So your tail planes look nice. And again, on the inside of the fuselage, ejector pin mark there, ejector pin mark there. Those are kind of minuscule. That may or may not even be seen, so we'll deal with that as we get to it. This is the back part of where the engine's going to go. And the other thing I'll call out is this. So these panels, the cowling, shroud, whatever they're called, right? They can be either closed, like this one, or open, like this one. With them sitting open, that adds more interest. It shows some things, but you also don't have detail on the inside. So if you do go this path, that detail there will need to be mirrored in here. Okay, spend a little bit of time with the scriber. So it is, unlike many tangerine kits, it's not really just toss it in the box, throw in the glue, and shake and bake. There's, if you want to take it to a level, you can. There's some work you can do here. And here are the clear parts. So these were in their own bag, and okay, I do see differences here between these two parts. I don't know what they are. I don't know what they represent, which version of which are they. So I'm going to have to spend a little bit of time doing some research there, which, I can do. Another nice thing is for here, you can see the rivet. There we go. Come on, goodness. Rivet detail, etc. I presume that's a gun sight. Or it could be a landing light cover. I'm not sure. That, I think, is a gun sight. I'll find out when I do it. I don't know. And again, this is me not knowing what the whole thing is. And there's also these two polycaps. I am going to assume those are landing gear or for the wheels. So that is what's in this box for the Corsair. Again, for me, and again, those of you who are watching my channel follow that. I kind of do things my way and roll along. This has a lot of potential. This is a nice kit, at least from looking at it from the sprue. The instructions look to be clean. This looks like it will be a straightforward build. And the nice thing, like I said, I'm not a real fan of this type of instruction kit, but I don't like the accordion. But the nice thing about this is you can lay this out, and this is something, it doesn't show well on the screen here, but as an engineer, I like the ability for me to lay this out and map out what I want to do. So I can go back and say, okay, I want to do work on this, on the engine here, right? So you can say, here's the back part of the engine. So if your cowl's open, you can, if these cowl things are open, you can see in there, right? If I need to make those ribs I was talking about, I can actually mark this up here. If there are things I want to do here to do differently, I can mark these up here. Oh, that's a clear floor panel. Okay, cool. That explains why that does that. See, these are things I learned. But the nice thing about this is these instructions are each step is small enough and discrete enough that I can make notes, that I can go, okay, I want to update this, or I want to do this. And then I can also say, hey, maybe we're going to do this later, and we'll bring that to a thing. Again, your Tamiya colors that you need for what you're going to do. I need to go back. The other thing I'll do is I'll go mark up where they are, because I don't speak Tamiya, so I'm not going to remember what AS8 is. AS8 being navy blue. Okay, so right. Anyway, that is a look inside this box in the start of this kit. The next thing I'm going to do is find a couple of things I need to do. You can see nice pictures of what this thing looks like when the model was done. And so let's go ahead and get started in this. It's probably going to take a little bit of time, so I am going to apologize. Again, I've mentioned before that my work life is a bit stressful. I want to take a little bit of look, see what the 3 versions of the aircraft are in here and where they were, and maybe come up with a small little vignette that I can put it on. But those will come. Anyway, that's this kit. That's what's in here. If anybody has hints, queries, suggestions, those of you who are Corsair people, I want to offer suggestions. Please do so politely. Understand that I am not an expert. Really, I'm not looking to become an expert, but I am interested in the reality, right? And what are the things to go for. So please do offer suggestions, hints, throw them down here below. I will read. I always do read. And until next time, thank you very much for watching, and happy modeling, everybody.